Hey, today we welcome Andrew Aberton to the podcast. Andrew is a Long Island native and educator who currently teaches at John W. Dodd Middle School in Freeport, New York, where he began his teaching career in 2013. Andrew is a proud alumnus of Molloy College, now Molloy University, where he earned both his bachelor's and master's degree in education. So we're going to be talking to a big brain guy here. While at Molloy, Andrew was introduced to the Dominican Sisters of Amityville, and this introduction grew into a deep connection. He was instrumental in creating the Dominican Young Adults chapter at Molloy and served as president and latter as a national coordinator for DYA USA. Currently, Andrew is a Dominican associate. We'll get into what that is with the Amityville congregation and a member of our own We Move Forward Together committee. Andrew, it's so great to have you on the podcast. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve. I'm really happy to be here.
So you're my second associate that I've gotten to speak to, and apparently you don't wear a habit nor a frock or anything like that. So
not usually.
Hey, not usually. Well, whatever you wear, pajamas, that's fine. So tell me about you being an associate and how you were first introduced to the Dominican Sisters of Amityville.
So an associate, for those who don't know, is someone who is connected to a congregation. Different religious orders have them. I am connected to Amityville, to the Dominican congregation in Amityville, and associates, we meet once a month, but it's more than that. It's a connection between lay people and the sisters who live at the mother house or who work in the area. I first got introduced to the sisters. I had sisters growing up. I went to public school, but in my parish in Notre Dame, I had sisters always there. So you got to know them a little bit, but not too much, not at a deep level.
Right.
So I was always around them. But when I went to Molloy, I really got to get into relationship with sisters, specifically Sister Diane Capuano, who was at that time was the campus minister at Molloy.
Okay.
And I say all the time that she's the reason I have all the thing and I'm involved in everything I am, because I just kept saying yes to her. And she kept bringing me on these amazing trips and involving me in these organizations and groups. And as long as I just kept saying yes, things just kept opening up. And at Molloy, I started working with campus ministries, going on service trips. I went on the Preaching in Action conference, it's a conference for all of the Dominican colleges around the country.
Okay.
So they invite all 16 Dominican colleges from all over the country to come, and they invite students. Usually schools bring between 3 and 4 students, and they're introduced to the Dominican charism, the traditions, the 4 pillars, all the things that kind of ground our life. And I went on that as a freshman in May after my freshman year, and that was kind of it. I was hooked. And I kept going. And like you said before, because of that, I was pushed with my friend Mike to start a Dominican Young Adults chapter. And we kept going from there. I kept going on the service trips and just got so much out of it.
For the people first tuning in to the We Move Forward Together project, by the way, we're not recruiting acolytes to become nuns, but the focus is on 4 energy centers, that being spirituality, community, ecology, and social justice. So I just want to get that. And I do want to get into service trips, so I'm going to make a quick comment. So I was cradle Catholic. I went to Catholic school most of my life, and I had a certain stereotype about sisters, strict, with the metal ruler. Did I get hit? Yeah. Did I deserve it? Absolutely. But what was interesting, as I got older, my daughter introduced me to these great women of action and unbelievable joy, especially the Dominicans, and I'm familiar with other congregations, but I don't know what's to me is the resilience of joy in their life. What I'd like to do is I personally know that my daughter was really influenced by the service trip that she went on. Tell me about how that influenced your life moving forward, as we say.
Well, before I do that, I do want to comment on what you're saying about the Dominicans. Yeah, we're not recruiting. And believe me, I didn't feel recruited, but you become welcomed and invited. And the thing that I find and it could be true of other sisters too, but they're
Mm,
so authentic.
right.
There
Yeah,
is
good
no
word.
smokes, there is no mirrors, there's no pomp and circumstance.
Right.
They do what they do because they love it. They have a passion for helping others. They have a passion for social justice, for caring about not just themselves, but everyone around the world, and learning about those different problems that people are having and delving into that. And that is a big part of their prayer life too, informing what's going on. But they're just so real. They're real people. Really, it's not that they're forced to do this. They love it. And you can see that. And that goes for pretty much every sister I've met, that you can see that love the minute you walk in. They're smiling, they're playing, they're dancing. It's not a chore to them. This is their life. This is what they do.
Yeah. Hey,
Um,
I'm going to interrupt you just real quick because I want to correct myself in that for those people watching, we'd love you to comment and subscribe to the channel, of course. But if you see an interest of, hey, you know what? I like what Andrew is and what he's doing. I'd like to become an associate. Look in the description. There'll be links there that you can check in and say, hey, I'm saying to myself, I can only tell you, I'll testify. All right. Working with this program brings joy to my life. And if you're looking for joy and looking at these energy centers that we spoke about, this might be a calling and a place for you. Anyway, service trips. Tell me about that.
so I always liked to do service. In high school, I was part of a bunch of different community service organizations, and we run a Special Olympics basketball team.
Cool.
We just celebrated actually our 20th year this year, and that has really shown me what it is to help others, and I wanted to keep doing that. And at Malloy, I had the opportunity, like I said, with Sister Diane. She didn't really tell me much about the trip. She just said, "Oh, I think you'll like this. Why don't you
Okay.
go on this?" And I said, "Yes." I didn't know what to expect, but these service trips on a whole, they really expose you to things you wouldn't get a chance to see or do otherwise. And a lot of times at Malloy, they always use the term transformative education.
Okay.
That these service trips transformed who you were. It wasn't about exactly what you were doing or
Mm,
if it had to do with your major, or it was about those core values. It teaches compassion. It teaches you understanding of other cultures.
hmm
It exposes you to and kind of gives you a level of humility. Coming from a place like Long Island, from where I am, we have poverty and we're exposed to that on a daily basis, but there are different degrees. Urban poverty versus rural poverty. I had no
mm,
idea.
right.
So the first time I went, one of the biggest trips that I went on was the Appalachia trip. We
Okay.
went down to Kermit, West Virginia, which is in Mingo County. It's one of the poorest rural counties in the country. It was mainly coal mining. And once all of the coal mines dried up, there were no jobs, and there still
Mm,
aren't.
right.
The opioid epidemic is horrible down there. It has ravaged families and broken apart lives of pretty much everyone you meet has been touched
Mm,
by the opioid epidemic.
right.
And there aren't jobs, and a lot of people see it as just a place where you want to get out of.
Right.
But the people who live there are rooted there. It's
Mm,
their home. It's where they grew up. It's where their families have been for generations.
right.
And again, that's when you go on these service trips, you see those layers. It's not just going to help. You find out about, well, generational poverty is much different than just losing a job and ending up homeless. They're both terrible, but they have different aspects to each of them.
I see.
So you have to treat them a little different. And when we go down to Kermit, West Virginia, we run a camp at the Big Laurel Learning Center in West Virginia. It's up a mountain,
Okay.
literally 30 minutes up a mountain
All right.
from the bottom to the top. And it's a one-way gravel driveway going up.
Wow. Wow.
And I'm not talking one way each side. It's one way. If someone comes the other way,
Okay.
one of you has to stop and back up.
Right. Right. Oh,
So
wow. Wow.
going up the first time, your eyes are literally open. You don't know what's going on.
Sure.
And it's an ecology camp. It's set up by two sisters that moved down there. They actually celebrate their 50th anniversary down there this year. They went to set up a school. It was a one-room schoolhouse. They went down to set up because the children couldn't get off the mountain for school. And they stayed. After the school closed and it was no longer needed because a lot of the kids grew up, they stayed because they knew there was a need. And every year they run at least 4 camps a year for the kids in the area. They have a girls' camp and a little girls' camp. So from like 13 to 16, and then from 8 to 12. We always get the big boys camp. We go down
Okay.
the same week every year, and we get the big boys camp. And the amazing part about this is it really is a gift to us too, because for the week, these kids who have to deal with so much that I don't know if I could deal with it as a 30-something-year-old adult,
Right.
dealing with problems of opioid epidemics and the poverty. And I mean, they live in homes without windows in them. They live in that are boarded up because they can't afford them. They live in trailers. Some of them, the first time they sleep in a bed is a camp because they sleep
Really?
on the floor in a sleeping bag with their brothers and sisters. So they can leave all that behind and be kids. They don't have to be grown-ups for once.
Right.
They
Right.
can
Right.
laugh and play. They can hang out with us. Each Malloy student gets a camper. So it's a one-to-one relationship. And you really get to know those kids.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah.
And it kind of breaks you open, and you really get connected with them. And it's an amazing experience because in the beginning, you kind of learn the difference between pity and service. You're not there to pity them. They don't need that. They need a friend. They need what you can give them. Just let them be kids. Hang out, have camp. You're not the guidance counselor. You're not the one trying to fix everything. You give them what you can. You give them a fun time. We go to the pool. We go down, they ride dirt bikes down the mountain. We do all of those things that they can just be kids.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, a couple of things jumped out at me about your description of this. One is the poverty that's here, in the United States. Okay.
Mhm.
And the other thing that comes to mind is coming outside of the bubble of Long Island. Okay. And you rightfully point out we have poverty here as well. But now when you go to this area that almost seems like what we used to call a third world country,
Mhm.
and it's not that far away. And, these children that are thrown into situations of being adults at 5 and 6 years old,
Mhm.
dealing with adult stresses and problems and drug use and that sort of thing and all the complications of that. But the other thing that was really poignant to me, and my daughter had said this when she went to Guatemala, hey, I'm not the kid coming from suburbia to save you here, but I'm here to just be present to you, really. And absolutely, that's got to be transformative to both sides, I would
Mhm.
imagine.
Well, it
So,
absolutely is. And the beautiful part is the connections you make with the kids. And with social media now, most of them we get on Facebook and you talk
okay.
all year. You get back and forth with them. You create a relationship. I have kept going down even after Malloy. I stopped for a year or two and then they invited me to come back. And
Hmm.
now the alumni still go down. We take between 4 to 6 or 7 of us every year. And we go down either in a car following the vans when they go down. It's a 14-hour ride, by the way. So
Wow. In the
you
summer,
really
I
get
would
to
after
know
school, I
this.
assume, right?
What?
Is this during the summer months or when
Yeah,
you would?
we go
Yeah.
down
Okay.
in July.
Okay. Gotcha.
So we go down for a week and we go down with the Malloy students. Now, while the Malloy students are doing the camp, we kind of get to do what Sister Kathy, one of the sisters that lives there, she calls them mountain chores.
Okay.
We get to chop wood. We get to rock holes in the gravel driveways. We get to do, but we have a great time doing it. And the alumni that are going, most of us have gone together for this will be coming up, will be my 16th year. And since the first time, I think I've gone down 13, but we've gone together. So we kind of know each other and we're all over the country. One of our friends is in Spain for most of the year. He teaches there. He teaches English. So this is like our only week to get together. So we have fun playing around, chopping wood, and it's a chance to give back to the sisters who have given so much to that area, given
Mm.
so much to us. It really is amazing. Back to the connections with the kids. I actually, last year, I was able to go down. I drove down to be at one of our former campers' weddings. He
Wow.
invited me to go down.
How nice.
So he hadn't been in camp 3, 4 years. He wanted to invite us. That's the kind of connection you make. And you make an impact, which is really special. You don't always get to know what happens.
Yeah,
So
you know what's interesting, and I think that the impact of social media and COVID and the quarantine, at least the sense that I get, is this thirst for community,
mhm.
establishing community. I see it in my daughter in the different communities that she's involved with, different circles of friends and stuff like that. But now, for those listening, who are maybe feeling what I'm saying. You have that thirst for, hey, I just want to get outside myself, outside of my woes. The best thing is service and love of others and having those opportunities. So if you see that yearning, that thirst, hey, please comment in the comments section. We'll connect you with somebody to talk to. We have a bunch of associates that, hey, maybe you just need that personal connection above this type of podcast, okay, which can be one way, but we want it to be two-way because we are building a community here. We're going outside of our Long Island area, even nationally to a certain degree, because this goes everywhere, to try to be the water, as Christ said, to that thirst. Anyway, I digress. Hey, we talked about local stuff.
Mhm.
Tell me about some of the opportunities you had to attend international gatherings through the Dominican.
So the Dominican young adults that I was a part of, we started a chapter at Malloy, is part of the International Dominican Youth Movement,
Okay.
which is in, at this point, 26 different countries all over the world.
Wow, amazing.
And each of these groups is very different, but we all have the same tenets. It's about connecting youth with the charism of the Dominicans and also with their Christianity, finding people that feel the same way. The Dominican young adults to me was always amazing because you had people from all different walks of life, but you shared a common language. You shared that Catholic mission, you shared that faith, and that made you fast friends. And the International Dominican Youth Movement is the same thing. So every 4 years, they have a national gathering, an international gathering. And that is invited to all members of the IDYM, which DYA USA is a part of. So I was able to go on 3 of those trips,
Okay.
which was really amazing. The first one I went to was Colombia. We were in Bogota for a week.
Mm.
Um, and then I went to Toulouse and Fanjeau in France. And it actually coincided with the 800th anniversary of Dominic founding the order.
Oh, wow.
So Fanjeau is where he started the order.
Okay.
So you really got to see what it was all about and to be there with people from Africa. We had people from the Democratic Republic of Congo,
Mm.
Nigeria, Kenya. You had people from the Philippines, South Korea. You had people from Chile, Argentina, that we didn't speak the same language, but we were all praying at the same time.
That's
We would
great.
pray the Our Father and everybody would pray it in their language.
Oh, how
And
beautiful.
it sounded a little muddled up at first, but when you really thought about it, it was such a beautiful example of how we can connect. And on that first trip to Colombia, I was a little um,
Anxious?
anxious because I wasn't sure with the language barrier what would
Mm.
happen. There were
Right.
other English groups, yeah, but we spoke and interacted a lot with the other groups as well. You kind of figure it out. You make signs with your hands, you say certain words, but because we had that language of Dominic already,
Okay.
we were already connected. We were there for the same purpose. It really was an amazing opportunity. And those trips, they are hosted by one of the countries of the Dominican, the IDYM.
Okay.
They have, Usually you have workshops throughout the day about different facets of the Dominican order.
Hmm.
So a lot of times you'll have visits from usually the master of the order comes, who is the head of the order for the entire world. Um,
Interesting. Okay.
Specifically the brothers and the friars. The sisters are individual congregations, but the brothers are all connected through the master of the order. And he comes and speaks, but you have friars and sisters that come from all over the world to talk about what is going on in their region and what is happening for them. We've heard from sisters from Iraq,
Wow.
and many of them, they're being persecuted because of their Catholic religion. Their areas were bombed. They had to move. Their convent was destroyed. They had to move out. It was no longer safe. And then they went back. And sisters talked about that. You have the People for Justice and Peace that talk about the issues around the world that concern all of us.
Hmm.
Um, and then at the end, we vote for the international board for the next 4 years and make changes to the constitutions of the IDYM group. And that was a really cool experience because you're getting aspects from all different countries. You're in
Okay.
working groups with people from everywhere, and they say what their groups do and what they think should happen and the statutes that might have to change. It really is an interesting experience because you get into like the nitty gritty of it. And I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed meeting those people, and I'm still connected with a lot of them.
Well, that's
Uh,
great. That's
I
that's
re-
really that's really amazing. Hey, I just want to make a point because I want to address the people of goodwill in the audience who might say, "Oh, I'm not Catholic. I don't check off the box. This isn't for me." Right. And I really want to point out that, in the We Move Forward Together project, I'll say, is we're reaching out to people of goodwill. I don't think we mind so much that you're not a Catholic person. Okay. Christians, good box to check off, but we're all on this journey. We're all not there yet, as they say. So I just want to be very welcoming to those who are listening and watching, and please comment, tell me what your thoughts are. And I do want to address, Andrew, one word, which might be a churchy word to some people. And it was a churchy word to me, to be honest with you, a year ago. And that's the word charism. We talk about Dominican orders, the Franciscans, the Jesuits. They all have different charisms that come from the founder that help drive the order. Can you expand for me what the Dominican charisms are? Because it could be a new term for a lot of people out there.
yes, that's true. Charism, I always thought of like family traditions.
Okay.
You have different families. You have the Franciscans, you have the Dominicans. They all do something. Maybe take Thanksgiving, for example. They all
Okay.
have Thanksgiving, but maybe the Franciscans do this side dish and the Dominicans do this one. The charism is just about the traditions that
Okay.
are kept and move forward from the founding. It's almost like a photo album or stories you hear about your family. It's a way to keep those traditions and keep the people that have come before us alive. The charism of the Dominicans is wide, and it
Right.
is very and there are always different aspects that you learn about, but the big takeaways are a sense of caring for your neighbor, caring for yourself, also thinking about prayer, but also understanding the times and
Mm,
what is going on now,
right.
and of deep meditation, contemplation, and sharing that with others. And we have the four pillars. And I just want to go back to what you were saying before about people who are not Catholic.
Yeah, sure.
We had this a couple of years ago at uh, a talk I was giving about Dominican young adults, and
Okay.
they asked if it was a requirement to be Catholic to be in the Dominican adults.
Oh, interesting.
And I think I was right out of college at that point, and
Okay.
nobody said anything yet, but I may have gotten myself in trouble. I said no, because we had students who were not Catholic,
Right.
who wanted to be involved. Who are we to turn them away?
Yeah,
I
exactly.
see that Dominican spirituality is about social justice. It's about the 4 pillars, which are community, spirituality. They've changed that word from prayer to spirituality because it's not just about praying the Catholic prayers. It's about being in touch with God in
Right.
whatever ways that is. You have service and you have study. Those are things that really hit everyone. It's not just Catholics. It's not something we should just keep hidden. It's
Right.
something that could apply to everyone. The communities we form, the relationships, that's what it's based on. And that goes back to the charism. Dominic sent out his followers 2 by 2. They were never alone. They
Right.
had a community. They lived in convents, and that's why a lot of different religious orders live in convents, because it's about community, being together and learning from each other. You have the spirituality. Yes, there are prayers, but there's also meditation. There's also spirituality through art. We have many sisters at the Mother House that do it through watercolor, through painting, through mandalas, which are like repetitive movement and practice of meditation. There is a professor at Malloy who is a former member of the Amityville Dominicans, does watercolors and drop watercolor as contemplation, and to really think as you see it move and how that changes in you. So all of these things can apply to everyone.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's interesting. I'm sorry, I'm jumping
No,
on
go
your
ahead.
words here. Is I interview, and it'll be a episode that's either played or coming up. Sister Barbara Swartz about that, about art and preaching through art. And let me tell you, my eyes were really opened uh, to a new concept. You know, it really was. And I just want to make another point in that I look at the We Move Forward Together program as, you know what? I've seen people in my life that I admire very much, that I see, like I said earlier, a joy, an authenticity, you said, right? A transparency. And then how did they get there is in the back of my mind. Maybe that's where charism comes into it. Maybe they follow the rule of St. Dominic that brought them to the joy that they have today, to finding the never-ending search for God. And I love the fact that, hey, this is not an exclusive club. This is really, hey, what part of the journey you're on? And if you want to walk with me, tying this back to, then we move forward together in this journey. I think that's so important. And I think that's, hey, if you're listening out there and you say, and I invite you, go meet a Dominican, whether it's an associate, a sister, or friar, and chat with them and get to know them. And then maybe you'll see what we're seeing. There's some secret sauce there. And the more I hear, the more I interview people, the more I'm like, I gotta get to know more Dominicans. It's just so much fun. Anyway, I cut you off there, but I want to
It's
ask.
funny you said
Yeah.
that. There's a saying, when we meet one Dominican, you've only met one Dominican. They are
Okay.
very different. They are not the same. They have the same sort of spirit, but they all do it in such a different way. Through art, through poetry, through
Yeah.
whatever they do have those ties that come between. And I think that goes back to the charism. And we're talking about not just catering to Catholics. A story that I always loved was about St. Dominic. And he was in France on his preaching, and he went into a tavern, a bar,
All right.
and he spoke to the tavern keeper all night to show him God's love. They had heated debate about it because he
That's
was
great.
what they called an Albigensian, which was what the Dominican order was started to kind of combat. The Albigensians believed that all material things were terrible, that we were
Boy.
bound for punishment. And Dominic came back and said, no, that's not it. God loves us. And he showed them that. And he spent the entire night, stayed up all night with this barkeep to convert him, to show him God's love. That he wasn't Catholic. He didn't just talk to the Catholics. He spoke
Right.
to everyone because
I
he wanted
think,
everyone to know.
you know, I think that's great because, you know, as we look what happens in the world, what's happened with the church, or, you know, scandals and, you know, open the kimono. There's a lot of things that happen. And honestly, I can think people get a twisted image of God, not the God who wants you to have a life to the full, but a God who punishes and is a puppet master, or, whatever odd thing is. And I think it's up to us to show the God, the charisms that we've learned, the Christ-like that we try to become to other people. And it can be in tiny ways. You never know the imprint that you could make on people. And you're sowing these seeds. You may not see the fruit of those seeds, but let me tell you, sow some seeds out there. Hey, Andrew, as we wrap up, I want to ask you this question. Looking back on your journey from Malloy, as a student, as a Dominican associate, how has being involved in the Sisters given you opportunities to give back and then take part in different activities?
So, the sisters have a real habit of
No pun
getting you
intended.
involved, whether you know
No pun intended.
maybe a little bit of a pun, but they have a way of getting you involved in such a welcoming way that you don't even know it's happening sometimes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, come here. And then they put you to work. But in such a way that you get involved, you become part of it.
Mm,
And I have been able to do so many things, go literally around the world because of my connection with the Dominicans. And things have grown so much because of that. I've become part of the committee because of my relationships with the Dominicans.
mhm.
That has brought me to different service opportunities. We were able to, so going back to the service trip that I go on, we go every year. We started a couple of years ago. I started collecting money from people at school, from now the sisters are involved as well. And we raise money and we buy Walmart cards and we send them down to Sister Kathy in West Virginia, and she distributes them to the people in
Nice.
need, to the families. Because for many of them, and for many in poverty, you have the old adage, beggars can't be choosers.
Mm,
They have to
right.
take what's given to them.
Yeah.
Okay, you have a sweater, it might have a hole in it, but you have nothing else, so take it. So they get that choice taken away. These Walmart cards allow them, sometimes for the first time in a long time, to buy their kids a gift that their kids want, exactly what they want. It's such a special thing to be able to show that we care,
Right.
and that it's not just a week a year that we go down to West Virginia, that we're thinking about them all year, that
Right.
they're in our heads, they're in our hearts. It doesn't go away. So this year we were actually able to send down $5,500,
Nice.
and that was given to probably about 15, 20 families, to allow them to get something for Christmas. And it's something little to us. Maybe it's $10 everybody gives me, and then it adds up. And I think that's what I've learned from the Dominicans, is that value of community. You don't have to do anything alone. In
Right.
fact, you probably won't be able to do anything alone.
True.
There's
Yeah.
always going to be someone there. And even if you wanted to try and do it alone, they're going to help you anyway, because that's what they want to do. It's in their heart to help and to, okay, you're doing this. Well, I have a connection here. This is how I can help. This is how I can help. And things get built from the ground up like that. The Dominicans have exposed me to so much. The Opening Word, which is their ESL program for women. I volunteered there after I graduated Malloy in their teaching program for about a month and a half, and I fell in love with it. And you really see those connections with the people. There's a very famous saying, well, if you say you love the poor, then name them. You have to get
Ah,
to know people. If you say
absolutely.
you want to help, then the first step is to introduce yourself, to
You
talk
know,
to.
you know what? You bring up a good point because my daughter was very active in social justice, in meeting the poor, right? Or someone who's homeless. Ask them, introduce yourself and ask their name. They may not have heard their own name for a month. And that simple act of kindness goes a long way to make that connection of human to human. And you brought the other thing I'm getting from your experience is that I think it's, by the way, wonderful. Thank you for giving me your time today.
Happy to do it.
Is the inertia that I have as a human being is I don't know where to begin, where to help. Okay. Oh, they're asking me for money, right? And a good friend of mine who runs the Mercy and Soup Kitchen in Wyandanch, who's the most humble, timid guy you ever want to meet, had a Protestant lady tell him, "Don't tell me how much you need. Tell me the need. Tell people the need." And and the services, the finances, the charisms and everything else will follow to help fulfill that. And I think it's in telling the story and people meeting people where I'm present to you and I get out of my own ills and sufferings by experiencing what you're going through. And maybe that's the root of the joy of the Dominicans.
It's that
I,
ministry of presence,
yeah.
being present to each other. And you see it when you talk to them too. They really want to know about you. They
Yeah.
want to know what you're doing. They remember what you did last month. They remember who your family is. They have real conversations. They are present in that moment.
Right.
And that's a gift and it's a skill. It's not something that everybody does. We're
Right.
always in our phones. We're so preoccupied with other things. Just to put that away, and that goes with the camp too. You're present to those kids. Just being there is a
Right.
big part of it. If you don't know where to start, just show up.
Right.
And the rest will come naturally. If you show up, you want to be part of it, you have an open heart, that's all you really need. And so many things will follow after it. I've gotten involved in so many things just because I said, yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Right. Wow. Hey, you know what, Andrew? One, I want to thank you for being present to me today, to telling your story. I'm sure there are many people out there that this is kind of hitting them. So I want you who are listening out in the audience to please comment, please subscribe, and share this. Tell your friends about it. I'm sure you know somebody who's got to get outside themselves, who needs community, who needs to expand on their spirituality, and who might have a heart for social justice. That's what I pray for every day, especially in the challenging times of our world. So, please comment. So, again, Andrew, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being here, and
Thank you
thanks for
so much
being
for
part
having
of
me.
the We Move Forward Together program.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Be well, everybody. Till next time.